Good afternoon. There's just nothing quite like living in the Central Valley. I mean, we really have it best. I mean, the Central Valley is this stretch of land that is basically from the valleys of Sacramento all the way down to Bakersfield, and we're surrounded by mountains. I mean, to our east are the Sierra Nevada mountain ranges. And then to our west are the San Benito Mountains, as well as a bunch of hills. I mean, if you go to San Francisco, you know what I'm talking about. If you go down to Los Angeles, you know what I'm talking about. So there's going to be a lot of hills and just yeah, we're just basically surrounded, which would mean we really do get it the worst when it comes to the frost. However, it's not all doom and gloom though, just because I mean this is a really, really desirable place. I mean, I'm compared to other California cities. I mean, the regions in the Central Valley is when it comes to property, it's like dirt cheap. And being that we're smack right in the middle of California, if you want to go up to the mountain, 2 hour drive. You want to go up to the coast, 2 hour drive. If you want to go down to the desert, 2 hour drive. You're right within the sweet spot. So that being the case, I mean, one thing too is the fact that a lot of the stuff we are also able to grow. That's just the icing on the cake. Being that we're able to grow a lot of these tropical fruit trees here, I kind of wanted to show you the expectations. I mean, my yard that you see here, it's actually fairly young. You're talking 5, 6 years old. I mean, that's when I seriously started planting all these tropical fruit trees. Before that, I mean, I've got a tree here, a tree there, but it really was 5 or 6 years ago that I seriously put a lot of thought and resources into ensuring that the tropical fruit trees that I put in the ground actually has a decent chance to survive. But I wanted to make a video today and show you some of the highlights as some of the trees that have been in the ground 5, 4 years ago and how they handled the first winter. I know I keep saying it, but if your tropical fruit tree is able to make it first or second winter, they are generally fine. I mean, that's really the tough spot is once they're able to go up the hill, it's just a downhill ride for the rest of the life essentially. And it's also not as bad as you would think. So wanted to sort of first start off with this tree right here, Ruby Supreme. It's tall. I mean, it's approaching the first story of my property. I would guess to be 15 feet tall. But yeah, I mean, this guy has been very, very productive. Ruby Supreme guava. Guavas, you would think all guavas are the same, but their hardiness really depends on the variety. So Ruby Supreme here, really sweet. A note about guava. Ruby Supremes are the pink flesh varieties, and the pink flesh varieties commercially they actually use them for juicing, just because it's very juicy. And then the white flesh varieties are really crunchy, and those are really meant to be eaten like an apple. So tip for you. So yeah, Ruby Supreme. I mean, the first winter that this guy was in the ground, I mean, it really had no problem at all. I mean, obviously there was some foliage that was hit by the frost, but at the time of this recording, I mean, the frost is not even touching it. So yeah, Ruby Supreme. Actually, you know what? I wanted to show you this. right behind us, right behind the Ruby Supreme, okay, is one of the first cherimoya trees that I got in the ground. This guy right here. Now, granted, to be fair, I had very recently pruned it heavily. So it's been heavily pruned. I mean, I give it a nice haircut. But yeah, this guy, when it was first in the ground, I mean, it really was, oh, I say no more than 2 feet high. But yeah, cherimoya growing here. And if you've noticed, the height of which I'm trying to maintain it is at a respectable height, just because with cherimoyas, you're going to want to hand pollinate, which means you can't have it too tall. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna it's difficult trying to hand pollinate with ladders, especially in my case where they're so densely packed. So cherimoya, yeah, cherimoyas, really one of the easiest anonas to plant in our environment. The other tree that I also wanted to show you, you know, just before I do that, so side topic, if you come here, see all this stuff right here, this is this is all chicken manure. The tactic that we use is we applied it right before it rains, so that way the rain kind of melts them and then leaches them into the ground, where as winter, I'm sorry, as spring comes, and this is a sure sign that the spring is arriving. I mean, even the crown of thorns are waking up. But right when these guys start waking up, there's going to be an abundance of nutrient for the trees. I mean, like look at the jujube. I mean, he's waking up. So yeah, once it wakes up, I mean, being that this is all organic fertilizer, it's gonna take weeks and weeks before the nutrient is even made available to the tree. But as soon as it wakes up, it gets a nice breakfast from its long hibernation. So the going back to our um, topic here. So Manila mango, I'm sorry, not Manila, Coriante mango. Yeah, when this guy was planted in the ground, it was just, I say no more than a foot high. But yeah, this is one of the variety that does really well here in our climate. Has fruited every year. So Coriante mango. The other tree that I want to talk about is actually this guy right here. Another guava. This is actually one of the hardier guava. Uh, in my opinion, next to the pineapple guava, this is perhaps the easiest guavas to grow in our climate. But he is a strawberry guava, quite productive. That's going to be the problem that you'll run into, is the fact that once the fruit ripens, all the fruits will ripen all at once. And then, yeah, I mean, there's really only so many strawberry guava fruits that you can consume before you get tired. But yeah, I mean, when he was in the ground, he was also another tree that is, I say, no more than maybe a foot high. But he's getting tall. I mean, as you can see, we also give him a nice haircut and fertilized him as well. So again, that's chicken manure. Okay, the only times that I put chicken manure are right around the trees that I know can take it. Uh, the problem with chicken manure is the fact that it's just a bit too high in nitrogen. So guavas, papayas, bananas, for example, can absolutely appreciate the additional nitrogen, but I would not, in my case, apply it to, say, like mangoes, where they actually don't like too much nitrogen. And instead, this is what I do actually. Let me see if I can find them. So in addition to chicken manure, I also applied, well, actually, I guess this would be a good example. I also apply just general organic fertilizer right here. This is what it looks like now that it's kind of rained. Uh, yeah. So for trees that I know are not a fan of too much nitrogen, this is where the slow releasing organic fertilizer gets applied to. So Inga here, mangoes there. So basically for all non-heavy feeders, it's just the other type of organic fertilizer. So I'm gonna take you to the back where I've got some more examples to show you. Many moons ago, I want to say 5 years ago, the first winter that this guy was in the ground. I mean, yeah, I mean it suffered a lot of diebacks. I mean, it really was a squanny little thing. I mean, it was about halfway defoliated. But if you look at it now, I mean, 5 years later, no problem at all. I mean, it's well, the pergola is about 12 feet tall. I would guess to be maybe 15 feet high now. He is a tropical pink, similar to the Ruby Supreme, just larger. So tropical pink guava. Another tree that I mean, I initially thought like died twice. The Inga, this main Inga here. I mean, the first winter, it literally died down to the roots. Made a respectable comeback the following summer, then died down to the roots again. But then beyond that, once it's found its footing, I mean, you obviously, if you look at the perimeter of the branches, yeah, I mean that's obviously frost damage. However, I mean this guy's got so much energy now that it's stored up. It is, yeah, winter is not even an issue for it. And Inga, I mean, this literally is like native to the Amazon rainforest. It grows here. It thrives in our summer. So yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with this guy. Uh, in addition to the fruits just being nutritious and crazy delicious, it is a nitrogen fixing tree, which would mean all the foliage that's caused by the wind and the frost gets knocked down to my yard and decomposes, and its nutrients then gets released, and all the trees nearby gets a chance at uptaking the nutrients. So yeah, Inga, really impressed with this particular tree. I mean, so much so, it really now is serving as the main tree that is protecting practically everything that you see here underneath its canopy. So the other tree that I wanted to talk about is starfruits. With grafted starfruit trees, the first winters are they may look pretty horrible. Just like this tree here. I mean, I thought this guy died. I mean, I thought this tree died to the ground. I mean, it literally, its first winter, it really was like down, it almost melted down to the ground. So made a nice, respectable comeback. It's quite tall now. I mean, he's a Kerry starfruit. Um, so just like its buddy, also got another Kerry starfruit here, okay? Its history too, I mean, it also, first winter, died down to the ground. Yeah, something about grafted starfruit trees just do not do well in our environment for the first year. Beyond that, they are fine. They're absolutely fine. I mean, if you look at above us, it's like there is literally no microclimate protection, and he's taking like a champ. So another carrot starfruit. So speaking of starfruits, let me kind of show you really quick. Now your mileage may vary, okay, but this star fruit of unknown variety, I have no idea what variety he is, was very likely grown from seed, winter over winter, no issue at all. So that being the case, I mean, I suspect star fruits that are grown from seeds acclimate so much better. I mean, they tolerate our winter. But yeah, this guy, I mean, when he was first in the ground, it was again just maybe no taller than maybe a foot high, but a very nice, respectable tree now, respectable height. Yeah, I mean, like, look at it. It's a star fruit. It's no issues at all with winter. I mean, I'm not even seeing any damage with this guy. So he's well acclimated. So let's go back to guava really quick. So as I said, I mean guavas, their hardiness depends on the variety in question. But I have noticed some of the Asian varieties, they tend to be a bit more cold sensitive than other varieties. These two Vietnamese guavas, this guy and also its buddy here, first year that they were in the ground, oh man, they literally almost. I'm surprised they made it. Let's just say. Granted, I was a newbie back then, so none of the mycorrhizal network that I keep preaching is even developed. I mean, it was just all straight up clay dirt. But they all acclimated nicely over years and years and years. But yeah, these are Vietnamese guavas. So there are some trees, tropical fruit trees, that do really well. No matter the amount of cold we throw at it, they thrive in our climate. Example, jamun tree here. I actually had pruned him down heavily. I mean, it used to be 3 branches, and I took one out, so it's now a fork. But like, look at him. I mean, he's literally reaching the same height as the Inga. Another tree that does phenomenally well here. I mean, big old foliage here. The downside with the jamun, it goes by many names in the Philippines. It's known as a duhat, also a commonly known as a Java plum. But yeah, no, he is a crazy fast grower. Yeah, when it was in the ground, I keep emphasizing on it, but I mean, most of my trees, because I like to plant them when they're small, because I know most tropical fruit trees grow really fast. And the smaller the tree, generally the cheaper they are. But yeah, he was also just a foot high. And now, I mean, I don't want to guess how tall he is, but he's tall. So, jamun tree. Another tree that is practically bulletproof, a guava, pineapple guava. Just like the strawberry guava in my front yard, this guy is bulletproof. Handles the sun, handles the cold without any issues. Another tree that is also quite surprisingly fast grower. When this guy was in the ground, oh, I say maybe it was 6 inches high. But I mean, look at him now. He is quite tall. So yeah. So another plant that I want to talk about isn't a tree, but I thought it'd be cool. Is the dragon fruit vine here. I mean, yeah, these guys grow quick. One tip about dragon fruits, okay? So I actually have a combination of different varieties, red flesh and also white flesh. The thing with dragon fruit is you want a lot of sun. They would prefer a lot of sun. Just because, I mean, it's not to say that they won't grow. Here's what happens when the dragon fruit gets no sun or very little sun. See this right here? It essentially becomes a size of a pencil. Whereas the size of the fruit, the vine, that gets a lot of sun, I mean, it, it's it's massive. If you look at the pergola that I've got up here, I mean, in fact, the one of the main reasons why I built the pergola really was to accommodate the vining aspects of the dragon fruit. But yeah, these guys practically maintenance free. So dragon fruit. In fact, actually, if you come here, I wanted to show you. Um, Spotted this the other day. Actually, let me see if I can show it to you. Look, I mean that's self-pollinating. I did not pollinate that guy, and who knows? Maybe a bat came and pollinated it. But hey, there's some fruit hanging off of it. But yeah, dragon fruits, they do great here in our climate. So now the tree that I wanted to cover next is actually this guy right here. He's a white sapote. In my opinion, world's most delicious fruit. It's it's literally eating butter with sweet, like butter, sweetened butter, and that's also good for you. But he's a winter tree. By that I mean he flowers in winter, and then the fruits generally set right around April or May or so. But yeah, a tree that's fairly slower growing, but does phenomenally well in our winter. So white sapote, he is a subel variety. Another tree that I wanted to talk about that is also a great champion in our heat and also our winter climate is actually this guy right here. He's a Manila mango. I mean, he's been in the ground, I want to say 4 years now. 4 years now, I think. Either 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I mean, he's reaching a good size. I mean, obviously, this is, frost damage. But as soon as the weather warms up, he's fine. He goes back to normal. So yeah, Manila mango. So this guy right here, I gave him a nice haircut last year. If you notice all the branches, but he was becoming bushy, so I wanted to really turn him into more of a tree. But he's a Sonam cherry, one of the first trees that I actually have in the ground. Back then, all this section had none of these at all. So he really was just getting beaten down by the sun and also the cold. But yeah, he's another tree that has no problems with our climate. Handles the cold, handles the heat, even when they're young. That's insane. I mean, even when they're young, this guy, when planted in the ground, was another foot tall tree. He's, well, I don't know. I say maybe 10 feet tall now. But yeah, Sonam cherry. So another sapote, just by name. They're not even in the same family, but you know what? It's called a black sapote. Another tree that is relatively fuss free, um, handles the cold and the summer without any issues. The first couple of years when it gets cold, let me see if I can find any. The foliage turns kind of black. Oh, right here, finally found one, right here. The foliage turns a shade of black. That's stress. I mean, when you and I get stressed or hair falls out, this guy its hair turns black. But yeah, no, that's what he does is when he's stressed, he turns black. But another tree that that's great in our climate. So one other tree that I wanted to talk about uh, is actually a longan, and this was actually the one of the first longan trees that I had in the ground. I mean, first winter, whew, I mean, this guy looked like he got beaten up pretty badly. But beyond that, as you could see, I mean, winter's not been touching it. I mean, it obviously helps now that it's got a nice protection from the mother tree there. But I'm pretty confident too, though. If I stick this guy in the ground without any microclimate, he's gonna be fine. But he is well established, Kahala variety. So the last tree that I kind of really want to cover is actually a citrus, and any it's not the case that he didn't do well. I mean, citrus in general has no problem with our climate. They thrive in our climate. But it's actually going to be this grapefruit here. If you notice the foliage now, you see obviously a bunch of new growth that's coming out. But when this guy was planted in the ground, I mean, he was as nutrition deficient as you can possibly get. I mean, he was extremely chaotic. But I did manage to nurse him back to health. And if you look at the foliage, no issue at all. He's getting all the food that he can possibly get, uh, including, I mean, again, just a lot of fertilizer. I mean, citrus is another tree that can handle the chicken manure. They like to eat a lot. I mean, rightly so. I mean, otherwise, how are they going to produce all these fruits for us? But yeah, just really just with trees in general, and I know I keep saying this, but once they are able to make it the first or second winter, they're generally fine. Uh, and it gets easier each year. I mean, I mean, 6 years is from the span of time for a tree where some of these trees live hundreds and hundreds of years is just a blip. It's a couple of minutes for them. So in many ways, a lot of the trees that I've got here are really just babies, and yet they are handling our climate without any issues. And not even handling it, they are. I mean, they're producing. I mean, that's their goal in life. Is just like everybody that I know. I mean, your goal is to produce, reproduce. So yeah. So anyhow, yeah, just wanted to really give you kind of a historical perspective of when I first started my yard, my forest, and how it is now. I mean, yeah, the examples that I give you were all in March, so right around this time. And the reason why I chose March is the fact that March gives you kind of example of the accumulation of November, December, January, and February, the different freezes that happen in those 4 month frames. And yeah, March is where it shows the true damage because of the winter. But obviously, as you can see, I mean, after 5, 6 years of growing these trees, the damage is becoming less and less severe. So that's really the goal. I mean, yeah, you're going to get damage, but if you could get 2 steps ahead, and then the cold and the heat is going to knock it down. I mean, that's 1 step backwards, but you're still always going to be 1 step ahead. That's really the goal. I mean, you're not gonna get a perfect solution. I mean, our climate is not designed for tropical fruit trees, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that I'm actually quite glad too. I mean, otherwise, like, I mean, how are you gonna grow stone fruits in the tropics? I mean, these guys need chill hour. I mean, one of the best tasting apricots, golden sweet apricots. And also, how are you going to get jujubes? These guys need hundreds and hundreds of chihuahua. One of the sweetest variety jujube, GA66. So yeah, I mean, again, I like to think of it as, Central Valley, the golden lot of California. I mean, where things are so much better here than other places. And that's not to say that, the other places are bad. It's just that, we're able to grow a lot of these. So anyhow, all right, have a good afternoon.